Hey guys, what's happening, man? How we feeling today? So I'm at work today, and I'm having a conversation with a coworker that's a little bit older than me, and he comes up to this point and he's talking about purpose. Like, so what am I going to do with my life after this job here is done? Like, we work for the federal government, so we're in a place where, okay, now retirement is almost imminent for some of these people, and they've paid into certain, 401k plans, and it's like, okay, what's going to come up with my life? And the main topic that we landed on is like, okay, purpose only comes from your ability to see your value in what you produce, meaning how much have you invested into your relationships. And dude's like, well, I don't really have that many relationships. My children are grown or whatever. And then we got onto the point where we started to really have a deeper conversation on relationships. And what we're able to decipher and come up with was that your relationships need work, which is common knowledge. But your relationships need a constant reevaluation. Like there's a scripture that says the Lord's blessings are new every morning. You understand what I'm saying? So our conversation led us to say, well, your relationship should be renewed or, revalued or looked at on a consistent basis, such that you don't feel like you're constantly watering it. You're constantly looking at it. So it doesn't feel arduous, or you have this burden like, you know what I'm saying? I helped you 7 years ago, so that should carry on. You understand what I'm saying? Such that like every other union that happens here in this existence is reciprocity. What am I trying to say? I think we as individuals, we spend too much time, way too much time, evaluating relationships as one and done. When in reality, relationships are very dynamic. They're dynamic. It's not a one and done. I'm sorry about that. Hold on 1 second, guys. Oops. Good morning. How are you?
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too. You gotta do your security check to get into the buildings and whatnot. Get into the installation. Neither here nor there. But the point of the matter is, you need a constant. Sorry, I got cut off. But like I said, your relationships need a constant reevaluation. Everything that we do as a process in terms of trying to achieve, the ability or the capacity to carry out a task that is evaluated by others, it goes through an evaluation process, correct? If you are in the medical field, like you have to attend certain trainings, right? If you are practicing as a lawyer, you have to, as soon as you get your bar, there's certain other trainings that are required to keep you in good standing, right? To keep you in good standing, to make sure that you are up to date and conventional in everything that you have in order to practice. And I think your relationships determine the same thing. But in most cases, what happens to us is like, we look at relationships from an absolute and finalistic kind of perspective. It's one and done. Oh, this is how it is with friends now. We ain't got to do nothing else. I don't have to constantly and actively intervene or constantly or actively put in the effort of trying to make the relationship work for you. So if you're to take anything away from this message today, is that as you reevaluate your relationships, where the ones that are nurturing, that's a key factor too. Like, you have to have relationships that nurture your growth, that nurture your development, that nurture your aspirations. Like, if your relationships are not nurturing, then they are depleting and they're taken away from you. Like, yo, you sound so passionate, because that is the epitome of life that we live. The epitome of life that we live is surrounded by relationships. Any and everything that you do, there's nobody that lives a fulfilling life in isolation. I'll say it again. There's not a living soul. I dare you to show me, tell me, challenge me on this. There's not a living soul that lives a fulfilling life in isolation. the laws of the universe, the creation did not operate in isolation. So for you to come out and say, well, you know, I can do it all by myself, good for you. But are you living an optimal life? It's like, by whose standards? By whose standards? By the same standards that govern gravity, you know, the wind that you can't see, the seasons, those same standards, right? The laws that govern the waters, that keep the waters where it is and make sure, you know, the tides don't come in and wipe you out. Those same standards. The 12 laws of nature, the 12 laws of the universe, what goes up comes down, everything, you know, remains in rest, stays in rest. Those same standards say that everything works in conjunction with something else, you know. So if you take anything away from this, again, is the ability for you to know within yourself that the cultivation of your relationships that are nurturing, growing for your aspiration is very paramount for your development and your overall outlook on life. I love y'all. I was just driving between locations here on base. We'll talk soon.